Another episode of Museum in Lotus. In fact, it's not just another episode. It is actually the final episode of this season. This is a 52nd episode. When we started the project, we said that we will do for how many weeks are there in the year? 52 weeks. So we will do that 52 episodes to complete, and hopefully we have traveled around the world in Museum in Lotus talking about collections that are not for sale, owned by Master Yun. And through that, we can actually get to understand more about Master Yun, his ideas, his ideals, and his world of feng shui art. So today we are here, Mr. Pino.
Good evening to everybody. What a pleasure to be here.
Episode. So what are your thoughts?
Okay, there's a certain degree of happiness. We've managed to achieve a goal, which at the beginning was almost difficult to think that we were going to be able to do 52 episodes.
Right.
We've done it. There's a lot of satisfaction. It's an achievement. It's for me an enormous and invaluable growth to be here, to address the audience, to become a little bit more smooth and fluent in my presentation, and that is my growth thanks to Lotus on Water and the team.
Have you ever, when we first started, have you ever actually doubted that, oh my God, how are we going to do 52 episodes?
I
how
doubt
do we do
it.
52
I
weeks?
doubt it. I doubt it. And because of my past experience and career, we were actually not allowed to be even videoed unless we had head office approval, which actually never came. They were very resistant about the general manager of the bank to speak to third parties unless the texts were completely vetted and approved. Instead, here, we're rather free. We learn, we have gone into depth about the subject, and we can express it in different ways versus the original text that was written.
Definitely.
So, as I mentioned, a lot of happiness and sense of achievement, sadness at the same time. Has it ever happened to you that you complete successfully something that you had in mind, and you know that there will not be another episode, not definitely at this point in time, maybe in the future.
Maybe in the future, yeah.
And you know, we've become acquainted with you, Mr. Khan, in particular.
Yes, yep.
Easy to work with, easy to exchange. I think I have established a wonderful relationship. I would say
yes.
it even goes into friendship.
With the crew as well. With the crew as well. Yeah.
With the crew, I was just about to mention, I mean, with a blink of an eye, we are in the position, although now they're making faces and say that I'm a big liar. It's not true. It's not true.
Well,
you should be here and looking at their faces. It's just
they love you. They love you, yeah.
But you know, love only is strong when it's reciprocal. And in this case, I've become acquainted
right.
to the team. I joke with the team. Sometimes I even say a word too much. And we play and we have lots of fun. I look forward to it.
Right.
And
yes, we do, yeah. Yes, we do.
And you know, we talk about Master Yun's art.
Right,
We
yes.
talk about the way his art beats.
Yes.
The way he expresses himself. I have learned a lot, not only about his calligraphy, but his feng shui. I've learned about the representation of the subject, the meaning, and I can relate to them much easier than in the past. I look at a painting and I sort of understand what it represents, what is the beauty in each one of its different paintings. I have not seen two similar.
There's definitely connection, especially after 52 weeks of communicating. There is definitely a connection. And the great thing is that over the past 52 weeks or 52 sessions, the contents we've been talking about, of course, Master Yun's art, as Mr. Pino you have mentioned, but also super wonderful, powerful, significant antiques that are like, wow, I tell you. Now, if you have been to the gallery for the past week, you might have already started gilding 24K gold on the set or the pair of bronze antique Buddhas. Pura disciples, actually, sorry. Yeah, so actually, you have not seen it because we are doing the show today at a different gallery. So later you can take a look. Actually, they started getting go on it as well. And if you're paying attention, can I have the white camera to take a look at yeah, if you're paying attention to where we are today, you might find that it's like, oh my God, what's going on today? It's like, usually in every episode, we tend to go by era or by country, right? So today you find that there's quite a mix, a lot of things going on when we're going to explain. And I was telling Mr. Pino that actually this might be what reality was and is. And we will go into it. And so we have things that are from quite a few places today.
Yes.
And they span across quite a large stretch of time. And to think about it, it might have been what reality was. Now, one more thing. We know that, Mr. Pino, you're wearing the tuxedo today, of course. Once again, I'm not wearing tuxedo, but actually I'm wearing the did you call it kimono? Do you call this?
Yes, yeah. Underneath is definitely a kimono.
So a bit different from last week is that I have the long one beneath, but I've somehow decided to just add on a short one, give you a bit of different colors and texture. Does it work? Does that?
But can I tell you, this is exactly how a Japanese would wear, would have a kimono.
I never know, yeah.
And then on top of the kimono, he or she would have an ahori. This is called an ahori.
Right.
And it's for the protection of the kimono. And the kimono, of course, is the most important. But in what Mr. Khan is wearing tonight, there's a combination of exquisite aspects, which I will briefly touch on, as much as beautiful, if not exceptional, are the pieces which will be presented. So it's an explosion of beauty, explosion of elegance, explosion of significance, and all comes to life because of what we see around us, and that is Master Yun's art.
Right. So we are still having a lot of people had great fun over the past 2 weeks on Sunday, and coming here, bringing your friends, and taking a lot of photos, fitting in, fitting out with a lot of kimonos. We have some photos from last week. Let's take a look at the photos from last week. Where do we have it? There we have it. Oh, this is me.
Yes.
With the two gentlemen.
Yes.
Trying to act all gangster about it. Remember do you see the red thing at the back?
Yes, I do.
I purposely, intentionally, the sushi thing, what do you call that?
Okay, the technical word, I don't actually remember in this very moment, but this is an exceptional, extraordinary container of sushi of dimension that I have never seen in beautiful red vermilion lacquer.
Right.
What is exceptional, and I just remind you of what we actually have indicated in the past. This is made of wood, and if you consider the way the wood was bent, again, it's a technique only known in this part of the world by the Japanese.
Absolutely.
14 to at least 14 to 20 layers of lacquer, laid sandpaper, and here we have, and I close the description in this case, the Nagoro effect, where we see the black coming out, and that is the most attractive aspect of anything which is Japanese and lacquered. Very much collector's items.
So if you haven't got a chance last week to take this photo, you know what? We are actually going to extend this Japan thing for one more week. There we have it. You see, 3 guys, 2 ladies. Look at them, so elegant. And then we have this. This is 2 lady friends. And then there you see you have this is friends as well. You see they have when they have something inside. The long one, and then they have a jacket on the outside. It looks fabulous. Can we have the next one? I think we have one more photo, right? This is me trying to act like a samurai guardian. This is me trying to act like a samurai guardian, right? Yeah, one more? Yeah, okay, one more. 3 friends, yeah. 3 friends, red, blue, and multicolored. So if you missed the opportunity last week to actually take photos with these wonderful kimonos, we are going to do it again this Sunday, okay? And it'll be the last session we're going to do it. We're going to redo the whole setup again, and hopefully by the end of tonight's show, you will know that why we do a certain setup like that. We're going to see it on Sunday. So I strongly encourage and urge you to bring your friends, bring your colleagues, your family, especially those who have been looking at us for a long time, to come by this Sunday from 3 to 8 p.m., you will get a chance to actually put on a different sets of kimonos or jackets and take great photos. Of course, all these are actually supported and sponsored by DJ Threads.
Yes.
And I've just very quickly asked Mr. Pino before the show started that would he be available this Sunday, 27th of November, 3 to 8 p.m. And he has kindly said that yes, he will be available. So Mr. Pino will be around, and the purpose of having him around is to actually give us, so as and when you come in here, you know, I have seen Mr. Pino in action, and you have seen in action over the past 52 weeks, 52 sessions, that he is a great connoisseur of taste, of fabric, of the wonderful things in life. So he'll be around to, if you are lost at so many different kimonos, how can you mix and match, how can you wear it, he'll be around. And he will be able to answer your questions about the threads, the fabric, because you know, some of them ask me, you know, they have come to the point of asking me that, Mr. Khan, is this for sale? I said, number one, sorry, I can't answer you, but let me get the professional for you. And the professional is coming this Sunday, 27th of November, 3 to 8 p.m. So bring your friends, bring all your lady friends over here. You hardly get a chance to actually take photo of this, and Mr. Pino will be around.
It's going to be fun, so much fun. Not only for you to take photos with your friends, please come, but I will also give you a take on how these pieces can be used in ordinary life.
Yes.
And again, with your blue jeans or with your dress or with anything that makes you feel good.
Right.
Wearing is about feeling good. And if you feel good about yourself, there's a projection that you actually emanate with the people you are in touch with.
Right.
I will bring 2 or 3 pieces, which I think are a good coordination with.
New pieces, new pieces, yeah.
2, 3 pieces. Something that we actually, they are bespoke pieces.
Wow.
Just to give you an idea about how we mix and match and we blend. And we want every items that we create, they're all one of a kind, to resonate with your personality. So that's what I'm going to play with you, and be patient with me because I can go on and on and on. It's the same kind of passion that I have, but I will show you a number of things that I think they're quite exciting. So I will pick out of the collection few things that I'm sure you will appreciate.
Which means that this Sunday, that for those of you who have been here for a couple of weeks, taking a lot of wonderful photos, this Sunday there will be even more new collections from DJ Threads, and most importantly, the expert will be in the house to teach you how to mix and match and to use it in your daily life. Now, talking about daily life, that will also explain what we are doing here today. Now, first things first, the sets of sofas. Can I call it a set of sofa? What do you call this? We have,
okay.
I don't think we have a full set here, but it's definitely, can we call it a set of sofas?
I think it's definitely the most elegant, prestigious, refined, excellent Louis Philippe, we are familiar with that term, yeah. This is basically a style which was very popular at the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century.
Right.
They were in adoration. Now, when we think about this set here, which consists of a settee, 3-seater settee,
right.
Then we have 2 armchairs. And
I'm on the armchair here.
4 chairs.
Right.
Now, this is Italian, ebony. Italy does not have ebony. So the commission was to have the best of the best, ebony possibly coming from Cuba or Brazil, imported into the country, very, very finely carved, beautiful carving. And if you look at this particular one, it has cabriolet legs, so very elegant.
Right.
I am sitting on it, and in spite of 140 years or slightly even more, extremely comfortable.
Let's just look at the curves of the legs.
The curves of the leg, the details of the carving, so exquisite, so refined, which brings me to a very simple conclusion. This was owned by an extremely rich family.
So we are talking about this set of sofas.
Yes.
And even the fabric that we are sitting on. See,
Original.
This is the original fabric.
This has
whole thing.
140, 150 years.
Friends were here to take photo last week, and you didn't know that you were actually sitting and using a sofa that is about 140 or even more.
Even more.
Even more in age. So the fabric, even the green fabric that we look at now, it's the original. It's the original.
There's nothing here, not even a nail, if there is a nail, which is not original. It's perfect.
Right.
Again, Master Yun, when he chooses thing, he makes sure that he gets the best of the best of the best. And he has managed. I would bet with anybody, if in Singapore, anybody has a beautiful settee and two armchairs and four chairs, all perfectly matching. And this is only in Master Yun. Nobody else.
Right. So because of space and camera constraint, we see the one settee, which is a three-seater here. I think set means three. Am I right?
Yes.
So settee actually means three-seater. So
yes.
Mr. Pino is on, can actually seat three people. The one I'm on is an armchair. You can see that I can comfortably place my arm here. I like how delicately they actually have done this cushion here because it makes sense. And over the other side, we have the other two chairs where you have put to the other side. These are the chairs, the extra chairs.
Yes.
The whole set, we have a total of 6 chairs, including 2 armchairs and 1 whole thing. And that means that it will come together and form a very nice setting that people can have drinks, people can talk about culture, you can talk about life. That's how the setting was 100 to 200 years ago.
On top of this, we have this wonderful table.
If you don't say, I will notice.
This wonderful table is part and parcel of this ensemble. I like to call it ensemble, which means the group of pieces.
Right.
Wonderful.
Okay, we just have to make a note, actually, that this thing here, it's added on it. It doesn't include in the entire original furnishing, decorations. But this table you mentioned belongs to the whole set.
It does.
That means that we have a whole set, including the table, or some might say coffee table, or I don't know how to describe it, but 6 chairs, 1 3-seaters, and then 1 full set of table here. I think the question begs now is that, okay, we are still in the sort of like the Japan season.
We are.
Yeah, because especially this weekend, we are still going to have you to come down with your friends to take wonderful photos with the kimono, and it's the gala weekend because Mr. Pino is coming over here, the founder of DGA Threads is coming over here. Please remember that all this are actually loaned to us, to you, by DGA Threads. But why are we talking about Italian furniture? Isn't that weird? What's the connection in all this? Have you thought about this?
Okay, in my opinion is, and this is not exclusive to Italy, but there are certain countries in Europe where beauty was paramount. And of course, it went also hand in hand with wealth. And there were, and there are, a number of families who could afford houses big enough to, or rooms big enough to contain something like 4 chairs,
right,
2 armchairs, and a settee like this. Again, ebony. We're not talking about any sort of timber. We're talking about ebony. We're talking about ebony which has been meticulously carved. And when you talk about the fabric, we're not talking about ordinary fabric, the original fabric. We are talking here about silk, the most prestigious silk that in those days was available. Of course, when you consider 160 or 170 years having been used, the upholstery needs to be changed, and there's already been a selection of the upholstery. It's just necessary. As much as one would want to keep the original, it's not possible because there are some tears in the fabric, and therefore changes are absolutely necessary.
Right. What Mr. Pino is saying is that if you come by this weekend, if you come by this season, especially for this Sunday, to take photos, you will still see these sets of wonderful antique sofa sets in its original condition. And after, when we proceed with the refurbishment or the upholstering,
Yes.
then probably it takes about months, and then by the time you come back and see it, it's refurbished and different. Now, all this whole sets of Italian furniture, what has it got to do with this Japan season that we are talking about? And especially, you know, if you look back at it, can we just take a photo from the last week's photo taking? Any photo. Any photo. Yeah, look at it. Okay, the next photo, yeah, probably. Okay, you see, if actually they were already sitting on one of the armchairs.
Yes.
Right? And the wonderful thing is that no one questioned me. You can come back to me, thank you. Yeah. No one actually questioned me that why are you wearing Japanese and sitting on an Italian or a Western armchair?
Yes.
Correct? Because as I mentioned at the start of tonight's episode, I said most of the time in the past 52 episodes, we were either talking about antiques from the same region, or antiques that actually span across the same timeline, or antiques that actually has the same meaning. For instance, Buddha from Thailand, Buddha from Laos, or Buddha from Cambodia. What are we doing today? What has Italian 19th century furniture or late 18th century furniture got to do with the Japan season? If you're clear enough, you know that, oh, is it because it's the same period, it's Meiji period? I would say that, I will tell you this, okay? Meiji period, you are correct, but not just because of that. I was just telling Mr. Pino, surprise, surprise, that actually if you look back in the paintings and the photos of Meiji period, just a reminder, the most breakthrough, prosperous region, time span during Japan history, 1868 all the way to 1912. 50 years, 40 plus years of progress allowed them to even defeat Russia the giant. Am I right?
Yes, absolutely.
And if you look back into the history, the real photos and the real paintings, it was a period of time that they uphold their own traditions. At the same time, they also accepted Western modernization. And it is common that in those periods that you will find living rooms or halls, there is a bit of mix of Japan tradition and Westernization. I think I have actually prepared some paintings. There we have it. Now, this gentleman on the photo is none other than Emperor Meiji.
Emperor Meiji.
When he took reign, once he was emperor, it was 1868. That's why it's the Meiji period.
Yes.
Now, if you pay attention, that he is actually sitting on a sofa. He's actually sitting on a sofa. It might be like, it might be, and it's a sofa with it's like an armchair actually. So I am actually sitting on where Meiji period Meiji emperor is sitting on. So this is one. Can we have the next one? Okay, so this is a painting, classic painting. You see that both Emperor Meiji and her queen, they're sitting on sofas. So actually by then it was a very common thing. And we have to think about one thing, if we are clear, that actually a lot of Japanese, before the inculcation of the Western culture, they were kneeling on the ground, they were sitting on the mats. So to sit as what we do today is something very, very different. Now this is a further scene that you see that in the most prosperous period of Japan, the Meiji period, from here it seems that on the outside you have the maple tree, you have that, it's very Japanese. You have the architecture with a bit of Chinese feel to it. But we look closer to what the king and the aristocrats are doing inside. They're sitting on sofas, they're drinking wine, they're having this marble table and so on. So it is in this most prosperous period that you see a conflux and a mix of culture. Now this is interesting. These are not royalties. This is actually a documentation of what the rich ladies in Japan were doing during Meiji period. And if you see carefully, all of them, some of them actually have sofas there.
Yeah.
They dress like Westerners, they have sofas, but they look Asians. That is exactly what's happening to Meiji period at time. And we can actually understand why, because in today's world, we are talking about, okay, how can you keep your culture pure? What are you going to do to actually preserve the purity of your culture? But if you look back in history, at any point in time, when a country or a culture is most prosperous, you will realize that their decorations or the way they do things, it's never about the purity of one single culture. In fact, because they were so rich and wealthy that they managed to actually purchase the sofa sets from Italy, they managed to purchase the marble from Italy, they managed to purchase an old grandfather clock from Germany and so on. And they will have it displayed in their living room. That was Meiji period. So if you're expecting, if you travel back in time to Meiji period and you see a solid, full, everything Japanese, it doesn't happen. One thing we also know, that in the Meiji period, it was the time that Japan sent a lot of people, talented people, to study from Belgium, to study from Europe. And those people, after they had their studies over there, they would bring back those culture back into Japan. And it's natural for them to say, okay, you know what, I'm going to start drinking coffee. Maybe no more tea, not that much tea for me or sake for me. I'm going to drink tea, sake, and coffee. So they will have coffee equipments. So they'll have sofas. So they have this. It is in that most prosperous period that we see that Japan, with all its ability to purchase so many wonderful and best items from all over the world, and they will congregate in Japan in that period of time. So when you are here at Lotus on Water Gallery this Sunday, you might just feel that, this is not Japan furniture, but what's going on? But you don't feel that it's out of place, because these are all symbols of prosperity, and they do exist at a single nexus of time when a culture, when the people, and when the country is most prosperous.
Interestingly enough, what you're saying, it's a clear reiteration of one concept.
Right.
In Europe, during the Meiji period, when they discovered the beauty, the refinement, the elegance of the imari, just to tell you, porcelain, they wanted it.
Yes.
So in other words, in the human spirit, you want to have, if you can afford, the best of the best. And it doesn't matter where it comes from. Actually, by acquiring things that belong to a different culture, you enrich yourself. That's the reason why in Europe there was a period when everything that was constructed at the highest level had a very strong feel of Japanese culture.
Yes, yes.
So look at the exchange. It was for Japan getting the European, I say the European flavor, beauty, furniture, but it was vice versa. And that's how culture expands. It can never be a one-way traffic. It will fail. If it's a two-way traffic, then it will expand.
And the people of those times, they have a big heart. So it's not just about, oh, this is not Japanese, we will not do it. So this is Japanese, we have what we have, but I think sitting on these sofas are comfortable, so let's bring them in. It's about when the people's heart or the person's heart, they expand, they manage to absorb more culture, and that's when the country will expand as well. For instance,
yes,
other than these sets of Italian sofas that we have here, which somehow managed to blend in with the kimono I'm wearing. Of course, I mentioned about this table and then the oburi.
Obi.
Sorry, yeah.
But let me tell
It's
you.
oburi or sushi, it is obi, yeah.
I don't know if it's been done on purpose, which I think it's been done on purpose. Have you noticed what this obi, which is the central part, the sash of the kimono represent? Let me just show you. Can you figure it out? The design. This is Master Yoon's, one of the most favorable design. It's a peacock.
Yes, it's a peacock, yeah.
So it resonates with the painting that's around us.
A most prosperous age will often have the most wonderful treasures congregating at the same hall. Italian, Japan, and then of course Master Yoon's painting as well. Of course, on this obi, we have something that's very interesting. I intentionally put it there because that if we imagine that you are in the most prosperous period and you're one of the most prosperous family, in the most prosperous culture, you would like to have your hands on some of the most precious antiques or artifacts of that era.
Absolutely.
And here, quite kind of out of place, but you don't feel that it is so, that we have something that's very interesting here. It's like a shell. Look at this. I mean, I look at this, I think it's, in Chinese, we call it luo, it's definitely like a shell. But
it's a shell.
It's a shell, it's a shell, it's a real shell.
It's a real
Look
shell.
at this, it's a real shell. But it's not that simple, it has been reinforced and redecorated with a metal silver
can I tell you, this is metal. It is silver color. It's not been tested. And let me say where it comes from. Allow me to say, this comes from the Himalayan region. It can either be Tibetan or it can be from Nepal.
Right.
And the word for it, it would be Dung Dahar. That's the word. It's a religious Buddhist instrument. It represents the Dharma, which is the law of Buddha. It has a very, very important significance. It goes back centuries and centuries in the utilization, still used to this day, and it's an original conch. Now imagine the rarity. We're talking about rare pieces tonight, aren't we? And we're talking about culture, which are different. Now, up in the Himalaya, do you think that they had seashells?
That's the thing, yeah.
They didn't.
Himalaya is a mountainous region. I mean, for sure, they didn't have seashells, but this was from the Himalayan regions.
This is from the Himalayan region.
Which means for the population, it was a very rare item, and they use it to represent one of the 8 treasures of Buddhism.
Correct. You would have seen in some of the symbolism represented in the rugs, there's definitely the conch and what the conch represents. Now, in this case, it's a white conch, very difficult to find. Why white? Purity. And look at the metals all around. We have turquoise, and we have what we can see. Maybe it could be turquoise, and it could be carnelian.
Right.
So this beautiful contrast of the color. The minute metal work is just astonishing. What does it represent, a conch like this? Very, very important. It's to keep away the evil spirit. It's to call the positive spirit to come in. The spirit to make sure that everybody has the food, the cattle is looked after, no illness, not only for the animals, but for the people. And this instrument is basically, it's blown into it and has a fantastic sound, the sound of Buddha. Now, the shell turns to the right, and by virtue of this, which is not any ordinary shell, it represents the hair of the Buddha, it represents the ear of the Buddha, and all the positive aspect, and I will just mention 2 aspects. That is mainly authority and power.
Right.
And that is the authority and the power of Buddhism, of course, which derives from the Buddha.
And if we were in Meiji period and being as wealthy and culturally elite as they would want to have get their hands on this and display, maybe on a table or in the living room. And I know one thing, that today we are not just showing this particular one conch, which is impressive. I understand that, Mr. Pino, we have brought a rather significant, even more significant piece today with us. Am I correct? Yeah.
Majestic.
Majestic, significant in size, super rare. If you're one of the richest family during Meiji period, you will definitely spend thousands and thousands and thousands of gold pieces that probably, and get a whole team of people to exchange for it. Shall we take a look at that magnificent piece?
Yes.
It is still in a box and setting, am I right?
Because it was so precious that
We have to keep it. We have to keep it in a
that
box.
after it was made, it was kept and taken out only for very, very special occasions. So it's magnificent. It has the original box, and we will show it to you.
Well, let's take a look. Yeah. Let me just put your champagne on one side. Yeah. It's right behind you. You might help. It's quite heavy, you know. Yeah. Ooh. Okay. Okay. Probably we should face ourselves. This is the box that we have. We have saw how the smaller one looks like, and
yes.
Oof. Oh, beyond belief. This is like a weapon. It's like a
It's
weapon.
a weapon.
Wow. You know, for a region that doesn't have seashells, it's not by the sea anyway, to have something, to have able to get some, oh, this is heavy, to something like this, it's stunning.
Please look at the size, and when Mr. Khan lifts it, not only the size, look at the extremely beautiful,
Wow.
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
I mean, it's a kind of a gold plate, is it?
It's metal, as you can see. It's definitely not, it's not silver in this case, but look at the quality of the shell.
Yes.
The shell
Even
is
whiter.
the most important, and there's applique of metal on the shell.
Dragon as well.
Everything is minutely, minutely hand forged.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then you see this wonderful dragon. Look at the dragon.
The dragon is there. We can see the dragon. It's a huge shell, definitely much larger than the first one that we had. And the adoration and the addition of gold, it's just simply stunning. I mean, UK carries for a while, you see, it's so big. It is so big. It is beyond a simple display piece. This is a museum piece.
I believe that it has so much richness that
Wow.
I mean, you have to come and take a look at it. I
There
can't.
we have it, yeah.
Okay.
See, this is the one that we saw just now. Nice, very nice, significant. But this is one on Mr. Pino's hand. It's the size, if you compare it, is just something else. It's just something else. Significant. And definitely a piece that's worthy of the most prosperous times and region. This is amazing. This is stunning. This is unbelievable.
The work that has gone into a piece like this.
So, you know, if you were in the Meiji period, you might have look at this. You might have the opportunity to have the best sets of sofas in the whole world, and you have the best artifacts from all around the world as well. And that's reality. That's how real history works. Okay, not just pure Chinese, pure Italian, or pure Tibetan, or pure Himalayan, or etc., etc. But it often is, and we hope that we are often in the stand that it's a conflux and the coming together of different cultures and best artifacts. And speaking of which, that brings us to one more set of collection. Very interesting. It's actually right behind me. I'm not talking about Master Yun's painting. Of course, if in any situation, you should have Master Yun's painting right in your living room. We have something that looks a bit slightly more modern. Am I right? Is that a correct word to say? A bit more modern?
I think this is a modern piece, it's a vintage piece.
It's a vintage piece nonetheless,
Vintage piece. This belongs to the 20th century.
Right.
Second part of the 20th century. This is a pair of stunning Angelo Brotto lamp.
Are we talking
Italy.
about this tool that
tool.
flanks me over here? You see, it looks like a Tesla experiment. It looks like a Tesla experiment. But this pair of lights, actually, they were 50 years old, 60 years, 50?
1970.
1970, 50 years old. This pair of lights just right next to me.
1970. And this is experimental work. Angelo Brotto graduated from Accademia delle Belle Arti di Venezia in 1941.
I didn't call the word academy.
Academia, I mean, the Venice Academy of the Fine Art. That's exactly the one, 1940. He immediately was awarded by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs the production of a fresco. A fresco is a painting on plaster. What happens is that he was such a wonderful artist and mostly specialized in lighting.
Right.
So I said that this is a a gentleman, not existing anymore, he has passed away, that comes from Venice. What is Venice known for? We have gone through this before.
Let me guess. We talk about this, if I can just refer it, Venice, Masquerade. No, we didn't talk about Masquerade. We talk about Murano glass. Murano glass. I should have brought the Murano glass here. So Venice is famous for the Murano glass.
And this are Murano.
These are Murano glass.
This is blown Murano glass.
This is artisan glass, my friends. Here, over here. This is artisan glass. Look at this. Look at this.
So
this is
in
not
other
normal
words,
glass.
this guy, okay, Angelo Brotto, who worked for Esperia between 1960 and 1970, and working there, he was very prolific in terms of, he innovated Murano. Murano was classy, it was beautiful, but he wanted something different and new. So we have, if you look, brown base, metal base.
Yes.
Then we have this cylinder.
Yes. Very.
This is stainless steel, perforated, which
partly
is
look industrial, partly look
industrial.
modernized or something like that.
Yes.
You know, that kind of thing. And
then
futuristic, yeah, sometimes.
yes, it's futuristic. It is futuristic. And then we have this Murano blown, milky color.
There we have it.
Milky color. Now, to me, if anybody were to ask, what do, in your mind, they resemble to? They're tulips.
Like tulips.
They are flowers. And if we were to ask Angelo Brotto, what did you have in mind? I'm sure he would not rule out that these are flowers.
Right.
The flowers of beauty, the innovative Murano in many ways, which now is combined with metal, and elegance. Now, we are here in an atmosphere which is extremely elegant, extremely refined, where we have different periods, where we have different cultures blending together. And here we have the Luigi 15, and we also have the Murano wonderful glass. Master Yun has a collection of chandeliers, scones, wall lights. We have lamps, which are standing lamps. We have desk lamps, wonderful collection. And we have here only the tip of an iceberg of beauty, elegance, all reflective of Master Yun's extraordinary art.
May I ask, I mean, since this pair of standing light, they use as Murano glass, it's more of a vintage than anything.
It's vintage.
Let's say 50 years. Are they still available on the market?
Okay, it would be possibly still available. Of course, we said 1970, so we're talking about 50 years old, in perfect working condition. There is a segment of the market which is the connoisseur. They go for auction in London in particular.
Right.
But a pair like this, I've not seen it in any catalog so far. So very, very rare. It doesn't have a dent. It's immaculate condition. Look at the house that would have possibly had. And look how well they blend with end of 19th century, beginning of the 20th century, and here we have the end of the 20th century. They resonate, they talk to each other. Why do they talk to each other? Because of the sense of elegance, beauty, refinement, and the grandeur of the house that had them, and the people who bought them. Angelo Brotto, 1970, Accademia di Belle Arti, Venezia.
I think what we are really driving today, since it's the last episode of this season, is that in real history, if you go back to the real context, that in the most prosperous time and culture, you would not just see one aspect of human culture. Often, whether it was the Dutch people when they were very rich, whether it was the British people, I mean, when the British people were very rich, they were looting from all over the world, that's one thing.
Looting. Looting.
When the Chinese people, when they're very rich, they had westernized stuff going on. It happens vice versa. When the Dutch were very rich, they actually brought Ming furnitures as well. We are coming from the perspective that when Meiji period was very rich, their living rooms might have been looking like this. And today we are fortunate because number one, we are in Singapore. Second, we are in Lotus on water. And it's a place that is full of prosperity, or dare I say that the energy of prosperity with us. I think after 52 episodes, it will be to no surprise to anyone that how come all this, in our words we say 国之重器, that means that the grand artifacts that will make a nation are with Master Yun. And they will span across cultures, they will span across time spans, they will span across different countries. And it makes sense because if you were a Japanese in the Meiji period, you will spend your pot of gold and you will use all your influence to congregate all these powerful things into your household. I suppose the same is with Master Yun's art. That on his canvas, you see that he doesn't restrict himself to say, okay, this should be the purity of the Chinese culture. No, but he expands himself. He accepts the Japanese, he accepts the Arabic, he accepts the Jewish, he accepts Western ways, Chinese ways, and you'll find that the most prosperous aspects of each culture is presented on his art.
I can't agree with you more.
And I suppose that, when this show that we have for this past 52 episodes, I mean, truth be told, I'm Chinese. Mr. Pino, he's Italian. Or maybe he's Singapore Italian? No, Italian Singaporean?
I would say, I would say that I not only have been able to appreciate and continue to appreciate Asian culture. I'm very privileged to be here in Singapore. Wonderful country, safe country. I mean, I won't go listing because the list would be so long and so wide. I'm very, very happy to be here. And this is not one of the I mean, I've been here in this country for 22 years. If it did not suit me, I would have left.
100%. So it does take the both of us combine,
Yes.
right, to actually expound on the many wonderful aspects of Master Yun's art and his collections. Think about that. It's what Master Yun actually has created, and what Master Yun is owning, does not only belong to one specific, narrow, pure definition of a culture. It belongs to the whole humanity. It belongs to something that can bridge across different cultures and create a resonance among many people who are true to their hearts, who are true to the arts, who are looking for something that's prosperous and elegant. So this Sunday, you will come here to experience in the gallery with Mr. Pino's presence and his expertise that you can try to fit on different ways. I mean, what I can think of, truth be told, what I can think of is this. I don't know whether you were at, maybe when you're around, they can play around with the obi and stuff. I think you'll be able to take amazing and wonderful photos this Sunday if you come by the gallery. And I strongly encourage you bring all your friends around, because sometimes I say that, Singaporeans, we are living in a safe and comfort zone. Sometimes you might be too singular about a lot of things, but it's time to actually, in a safe environment, explore and expand our cultural perspective. Mr. Pino will be here to help this Sunday, 3 to 8 p.m. You'll be able to take wonderful photos about this. Just saying, if you're interested in any of all this stuff, you can also ask Mr. Pino about it as well. So this Sunday, you have to be in the gallery.
At one condition, I may say.
Yes.
Sorry if I did. We're going to all have fun.
Yes, okay, definitely.
We are going to take pictures together. We are going to wear beautiful things in an innovative way. Beautiful things have the power to innovate and to recreate not only the sense and the beauty, but also the fact that you feel good about it. And that's exactly what I'm going to try to propose to you.
As the last episode of this season, of course, I'm not going to ask any more lucky draw questions. My only question to you, or my only request to you, is to come by the gallery, experience all these wonderful things yourself. You can rewatch all the 52 episodes on YouTube, but you know, nothing beats coming here to experience the real touch and feel of all these wonderful antiques and to experience Master art with your own eyes, with your own touch. So I'm going to have Mr. Pino choose the 3 lucky winners from last session.
Last session.
And
yes.
the 3 of you might be very lucky because we're not going to do this next week. 3, please. 1.
2.
Right.
And 3.
Se. 1, 2,
3.
3. The first person we have, Jewel Lee. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Number 1,
Good
Jewel
luck.
Lee. Second person, Lee Ahanoy. Congratulations.
Very good.
Very lucky.
Congratulations.
And the third person that we have here is Nicole Lee. Congratulations.
Congratulations,
We have,
Nicole.
Jewel Lee.
All the best.
Nicole Lee, and then we have Lee Arnoy. So, ladies and gentlemen, this does conclude our this season of Museum in Lotus. I hope we have presented you with wonderful artifacts and collections. The most important thing, as Mr. Pino has always mentioned every episode, is that you have to experience it yourself. There are so many treasures to be explored. I mean, I have no idea what's in store for us in the future. Probably, you know, we might have a second season and so on, it depends. But once again, I know what's going to happen in the immediate future. That is this Sunday, you have to be in the gallery. 3 to 8 p.m., Mr. Pino and I will be around.
Absolutely.
I'm going to have a small talk. I'm going to have a talk session at 4:30 p.m., which is fine. You can come here, exchange views, listen to Mr. Pino's professional opinion, how you can take the best pictures with all this furnishing with this kimono.
When this settee is reupholstered with fantastic, fantastic silk, which already has been selected by Master Yun, I want to be here.
Right.
I will not accept being pushed out. I will force myself, and I will be a gate breaker. I need to be here.
What?
I need to sit on this wonderful reupholstered settee.
What Mr. Pino is saying that we're going to refurbish this thing and we might be able to see the results of it in 1 or 2 months' time. I think that I'm not going to show them the fabric in the end.
No.
In 1 or 2 months' time, you pay
Let it be a
attention
surprise.
to what we're going to talk about, then you will realize that this whole set of finishing is going to be astonishing.
Astonishing.
Right. Cheers, Mr. Pino. Thank you for the past 52 weeks of great knowledge and great exchange.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And see you
All the
this
best.
Sunday. Cheers.